Hey everyone, happy Monday. This is Zach. I'm freaking. You'll notice, I think this is the same situation it was with last week, but the mattress that we used to be kind of horizontally behind me is now vertically to the side. In the current process of readjusting the room, this room that I'm in has been like completely reorganized at least 4 times during this quarantine time. Uh, since it was our guest room, to kind of like making it more of a space. There's a piano in here. I never mentioned I found the piano on the side of the street. I'm not trying to tangent too much, but I know it's a lot of fun things, but I digress. Uh, but so talking about kind of like those random things that are unexpected, readjusting a room, finding a piano. Uh, the verse that I posted on Friday is in Matthew, verse 9, or chapter 9, verse 38. It's one we probably heard. I feel like most of the verses I've done are ones we've kind of like heard in passing in the church, but maybe haven't been talked about too much in detail, at least on like a specific verse by verse basis. But again, tangent. So Matthew 9:38. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. So we know in the Bible there's always kind of these agricultural metaphors, which is reflective of just the culture of the time. It was a much more agrarian society. So these just made more sense. Current metaphors would probably be, I don't know, shopping related. I don't know. Another tangent. But so the idea of this, ask Lord, another version I read was pray to the Lord of the harvest that he sends workers into the harvest. So kind of that act of prayer. The devotion I was reading, where I actually had seen this verse on Friday, talks about like Christians. We can really get into the mindset of like, God has this special work cut out for me. Like we hear stories of missionaries like going into like tribes in Africa or like along the Amazon, and like these stories of like, oh, this person brought the gospel to this unreached tribe and people were saved, or anything like, but like some like kind of wild crazy story almost, and we can get in our heads that like, oh, God's saving me for that. Like the harvest that God's talking about is this thing that is down the road for me, that is 10 years, 20 years down the road when I'm at this point. But I feel like there's, and I'm pulling off the devotion also, like there's level of like, the harvest is, in a sense, now. The harvest is always kind of going on and around us. Like we're always planting seeds, but people before us have planted seeds, and we can be the ones that are reaping the fruits of that. Whether you're in a workplace, in a school, on a sports team, there's someone out there that you can be an influence to, a good, just like, even just being like a kind person to can lead them to ask, oh, like, what's making this person kinder? Like, all these people have made fun of me, but this person is nice. Like yes, they may just kind of end it, this is just a good person, but we, like, the early church, back in like the book of Acts, it talks about how like they were known because of the love they showed to each other, and I'm sure by extension to the people around them. It's not about that they stood on street corners and screamed the gospel at people until they were baptized, but they were known by this love that they showed to each other and the love that they showed to people around them, and that brought people in. And then at that point, they were willing and able to accept the gospel. So this idea of the harvest and praying for people to come into the harvest, it's really a prayer for ourselves, like to not get caught up in this, like I'm gonna be I'm gonna be this missionary in Uganda, so I should just kind of like put my blinders on, prepare for that, and go. If God's calling you to just be a light to the people on your baseball team, the people in your Zoom class, like, that is still just as valid. I mean, God uses everyone for something. I mean, like, I can't remember. It's a verse that we've talked about recently, but I think Paul talks about the church body being like a literal body. Like, the eye doesn't tell itself that it's more important than this other part of the body. Like, like a body, like if someone doesn't have a hand or if someone doesn't have a lung, they're going to be worse off than if they don't. Like there's no like one body part that people are like, I would happily lose that. So it's kind of like this idea of like, maybe you're maybe you're a skilled writer and you can write devotionals. Maybe you're a skilled speaker and you can give sermons. Maybe you're just a kind person. Maybe you are the kind of person that, as you drive down the street and you see people in need, you can give to them. Like, anything that you are seeing that God is calling you towards is a harvest that is near you and is accessible. And there's always some harvest that's accessible to us. We don't have to go to some third world country or we don't have to go out of our way to find the mission field. This harvest, this mission field, is all around us. And if we're willing to just accept that and kind of have that piece of, not that I'm content where I am and I'm not going to do anything, but I'm content that God is calling me where I am. And where I am, unless you can tell yourself that every single person around you and every person that you interact with is 100% saved and a Christian, then there's a mission field around you. And honestly, even in that case that you think everyone is saved around you, there's probably still a mission field. So just don't get put down. I know, like, as we are in this quarantine time, that maybe there's like a gleanings trip. Maybe there's like Mexicali. I know that other trips that Village School and Village Church send students out on. Like, we don't necessarily get the chance to do that this year, but that doesn't mean that God hasn't called us to make a difference around us. I don't want to tangent too much and keep comparing and keep saying the same things, but just the harvest is always ready if God is calling you to it. God is not going to call you to something that is not ready in His own time. So I just, my prayer for everyone is just that that our eyes are open to everything around us, and to just let that calling from God be fulfilled in our life. To not think that this calling from God is for 10 years down the line of, I feel like God wants me to talk to this person, but I'm not really prepared yet. So I should read the Bible. I should wait a couple of years and then I'll talk to this person. If God's calling you now, talk to that person now. And that goes for anyone and anything. If God's calling you to it, act now.